Hi, I'm Dr. Gemma, and welcome back to Cognitive, the Knitting Psychology podcast. Cheerfully and somewhat irregularly in business since 2008. Segments today may include what's on my hooks, needles, and spindles, a strategy, something I really like, put a lid on it, oh shoot, and blather. So sit back, put your feet up, pick up your knitting, crocheting, spinning, weaving, or dyeing, or any other yarny thing you're doing, and get ready to enjoy. Well, hello, it's Dr. Gemma, and this is episode 200, yes, 200, of the new series of the Cognitive Podcast. That brings our total number up to somewhat slightly over 400, like 420, counting the old series. If any of you were wondering, somebody said, hey, you've got the old series. Can I have some of that? Please contact me through Ravelry. I lost track of you. And I hadn't thought of how to do that, but I'll come up with some way because I'm very complimented. In the meantime, guys, 2 weeks out from CFR 10. Can you believe it? And I have to admit, not having the goodie bags this year has taken a lot of the pressure off me. Having said that, in the Warm Thanks department, we have someone, really two people, who answered the call for the goodie bag before one of the people I asked complained about me to Etsy, who said, please don't do this. So I really want to thank, first of all, I'm going to thank Cutiful Christina of Cutiful Yarns, because she sent just a phenomenal prize. It's so beautiful. Anyway, I don't want to tell you what it is. I really don't, because I don't want to ruin the surprise for you, but it's really hard not to, because I want to tell you that you should go look at Cutiful Yarns. I'm just going to say the link is in our resources, but I need to start a link list at the bottom of the notes for this week. I hadn't done that, and I realized I need to. So the other person I'm going to thank is Nanette Wake of Nanette Wake Studio, who I've given you the link to her URL on the net, but also she's on Etsy. And I just want to really thank her so much for her generosity. It was extraordinary. She sent samples, and again, it was such a really great thing. You just have to see these, and you will if you're going to CFR, so I'm very excited about that. They're just beautiful, and the thoughtfulness and the precision and the care. So, of course, I looked through them and I went, oh my gosh, because it's just such a generous thing that she did for us. And very, very tasteful and beautiful. And all I can tell you is I've seen samples of her yarn now. I've held them. They're exquisite. She's a dyer's dyer, and she's very versatile in her yarn types. So I really want to recommend her. In fact, frankly, last night I went back to her Etsy store and I purchased her, it's called Dashing Through the Snow. I got it on fingering weight. It's her Christmas yarn, and it's just this beautiful colorway. And I'm buying it because, every year I do the Franken socks from leftover stripes, and then I do the Yule socks in a specifically Christmas-oriented colorway. And I hadn't even thought about it this year, and when I saw her samples, I went, ooh la la, I am going to go look at that woman's yarn. Mind you, this will not stop me from shopping our vendors at CFR 10. I am happy to tell you, because they have some pretty special stuff too, but we shall get to that. Meanwhile, I do want to thank all of you who have signed up for CFR 10. I believe we're at 31. I have to go over and actually look. I've only got one person who we're not sure if two people, I guess. We're not sure if they're coming or not. And I'm really hoping they do. And I don't know. I don't know how long it's going to take for either of them to tell us, but we have enough people. We can pay for the conference room. That's what I care for. And so thank you for signing up. I'm very happy about that. And also, I think we have some new folks from my Reddit group who are listening. I am the Ferret over at Reddit. That's a long story that I'm not going to go into too much, but I'm really glad if you're listening, all my Reddit people. In the meantime, Cognitive Fiber Retreat 10, all the information right there. The first link, there's 2 links to it, takes you to the same place, both of them. That link will take you to the information thread on Ravelry. Post number 1 is really the big one, although you really want to look through all those posts. I'm just saying because there's some pretty tasty things from our vendors and from our teachers, you know. Okay, but post number 1 is the major collected information. Again, if you read anything there and you think I've got it wrong, please feel free to correct me because I can be edited, believe me. Sometimes I need it. If you would like to come to Cognitive Fiber Retreat 10, it is $30 per adult. Anybody under 18 is free. We want you to PayPal the $30 to Gemma DW, as in Gemma Dog Walking, at yahoo.com. This is not refundable because I got to pay for the conference room. Okay, and we've also got the link from the hotel that will take you to the group rate for our fiber retreat. And they are giving us the rate for several days before and after, in case you're wondering. So you can see their version of reality. They say the start date is Friday, which it is. Thank you, because I'll be there. But we don't have classes till Saturday. Saturday is the official day. And then afterwards on Sunday, no, we're done. But we do encourage people to come to brunch with us and just sort of help us unpack what we could have done better, how things went. And also we plan the date for next year. And we plan any changes we want to make. The last day to book the group rate, it was Thursday, August 29th. Call them and tell them Gemma sent you. We'll see. All right. Now, the hotel that is offering this rate is, of course, the Courtyard by Marriott in Santa Clarita, Valencia. And it is pretty easy to find. It is right off the 5. What is the name of that exit? I think it's Newhall Ranch Road. And you go east when you get off it. Pretty easy. You can find it on any happy map. Meanwhile, the group projects, I want to talk about them again briefly. Now, we have the classes, and I have to start with that because I think we all know that our own Gigi is ill, and Jasmine and Gigi are not going to make it this year. And they really held out trying to make it, but it wasn't fated to happen, okay? Fortunately, we have had so many people step up with the classes, so I am not particularly worried. So we have Potchke's Tunisian workshop, and we've got, oh my goodness, we've got Steffi Joe teaching. I know I'm going to forget somebody, and I know I am. Oh, Viva Scrapper. Emily's going to teach. We're so good for classes, so this is going to be a lot of fun. You have to go over to the thread, I guess, and fix that too. But anyway, we're good. So we're going to have plenty of classes to keep you busy. We've easily got 3. And then there's kind of catch as catch can. The point of this that I'm leading up to is one of our group projects is the crossbody bag. And remember that we have Ariane, who's going to teach that. She's got her own pattern. I do not have the link to it yet in the show notes because she's going to give us a code so everybody who goes to CFR 10 gets it for free. Okay? And also there are different variations on this pattern if you need it for free, which have been in previous episodes. But I don't want to set everybody in competition with each other which version of the pattern you're going to use. This is a pretty straightforward pattern. I have made it. It is 4 granny squares. And it's a classic pattern. However, Ariane really just gathered all the improvements. And she got a lot of these from our own Carmen, who last year made the entire OC group their crossbody bags. And I have to say, Carmen makes these and gives these away for free. And I was the beneficiary of this. I just love this. I just love this. I'm going to try to remember to bring the template I made as a liner. Now, that worked for my squares, which were 6 inches by 6 inches, and I used an eye hook to get that. I'm not sure what Ariane is doing, so I'm not going to interfere with that, but I will try to remember to bring that template. We are pretty much in the middle between a Joann's and a Michael's. So if you need template plastic, you should be able to get it. Or a bunch of you get a bag of pieces and just, everybody take one or whatever. This should not be hard to do. The same goes for hooks. We're going to have our own Oink is going to be bringing us hooks, Tunisian hooks, that we can use. So we're going to have the supplies. So again, we're going to have sewing machines. I'm not sure who's going to be bringing sewing machines. So before I had said, okay, if you want to make the liner, you can probably get that started. I'm not sure that's going to happen right now because I'm not sure who's bringing a sewing machine. But I would tell you, when I made this pattern, I put a lining in it, I put a zipper on it, and I used hardware that I got on Amazon. Okay. Ariane can tell you all these sorts of things, what works. She's pulled it all together. And the nice news in support of that, we've got Barbara Potchke is going to be teaching about Tunisian. So that's for the strap. It makes a great strap. You really would like to learn this, if for no other reason than to make the strap. Carmen will be there. She's got all these videos that she used and that she referred to me and to Ariane. So this is pretty good. We've got that going. Okay. Meanwhile, for the bag that Ariane makes, a G, a 4.0, or an H, I want to say it's a 5.0. But fortunately, if I get it wrong, there is a conversion chart. Yes, an H is a 5.0. A G is a 4.0. It's also sometimes a 4.25, I believe. All right, there is a conversion chart in the show notes that will show you how the letters convert to the numbers, because we really should be using numbers, and I'm the one continuing that bad habit. But G or an H hook for the crossbody bag. For Potchke's Tunisian, she's saying a G hook. Now, again, can get these from Oink. And then we have, if you want to wooble with me, that's not an official class. We could make it one if we need it to be. That's also a G hook, a 4.0. Meanwhile, last year we all did the Abba sock yarn cowl, and a lot of people really liked it. Now, remember, we're going to have a table to do an exchange for sock yarns, fingering weight. So, thing you should know. If everybody's bringing fingering weight, you can just trade these and you can make an Abba sock yarn cowl right there, as we all did last year, and you'll have a souvenir. I made like 5 of them because I took home so many mini skeins of fingering weight yarn. Okay, so that's really good. I'm not sure. I believe that Barbara was saying for the Tunisian workshop, she was recommending fingering weight. And we're going to have it right there. People will be trading skeins, so you can get it right there. Okay, so the Abba's sock yarn cowl, if you're doing that, that is a D as in dog hook. And I am squinting to say that I think that's a 3.25. It's hard for me to see my own chart. Is that pathetic? Yes, that's a 3.25 hook. Again, you can get all of this from Oink. We're going to have people bringing mini skeins of sock yarn, so you can get all of that there. You can make your own sock yarn cowl. The pattern is right there in the show notes. You can use it in Barbara's Tunisian crochet class. We're trying to give you everything you need. What is the whole point of the group projects? You can do whatever you want. You don't have to do our group projects. The whole point of them is we're together as a group so we can help each other if anybody's having any problems with it. And that also goes for making woobles. We have the links in the show notes for the free basic penguin or basic chick pattern. These are wooble patterns. And I can help you with that because I'm the one who's made literally 50 woobles now. Okay, so all of this is, you can make your own souvenir. Or you can pick up some new skills. If you're a basic crocheter and you're doing things like making clothes or socks or whatever, this is your chance to learn to make little toys or to make the sock yarn cowl or to make the purse. Whew, that was a lot. So, meanwhile, I just realized I have to go over and clean up what's going to be on the class list over there. So, thank you, Gemma, for reminding yourself. What's on my hooks and needles? Well, I didn't finish anything this week. That's not true. By the time you hear this, I will have finished the first of my Franken socks, which were previously the Stillboard socks, but I realize they're my Franken socks for this year. I will have finished them. No, I won't. I will have finished the first of my Franken socks. When we get to the blather, you're going to know why I sound like this. Thank you for your patience. Meanwhile, in progress, the stash toss. Well, I ordered a skein of new sock yarn from Nanette Wake Studios on Etsy in Dashing Through the Snow because I needed my Christmas sock yarn fix. So I'm at 27 skeins in versus 49 out. And again, I want to thank Nanette for sponsoring us at CFRX. Her link is in the thank yous in the show notes. and I am going to add it, I believe, to a list at the bottom to make it stand out. Meanwhile, over on my Reddit group, I am known as the Ferret because Reddit randomly assigns you a username, and it assigned me blah, 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 ferret and a number. So last week, you may remember, I made Evening Gown Barbie as a wooble from my leftover scraps, and I adapted the Barbie pattern to change the gown a little bit, that sort of thing. And someone on the group said, well, no, that's Cinderella Barbie. She's not just Evening Gown Barbie, and you are her fairy god ferret. And I thought that was hilarious. So you can see what happened in the show notes. I started making a ferret. Now the ferret needs a tail, and it probably needs legs, and it probably needs wings. That it's slowly morphing from a ferret to a fairy god ferret, which means it may also get a pretty dress or something. Who knows where this will go, but it's on the side right now while I worked on a few other projects. And so there is the fairy god ferret in midstream as I work on her. On the Franken socks, I'm on the last heel as I record this. I pretty much plan to finish it while I'm editing this. So hopefully there will be a picture soon. And I haven't touched the Lakeside cardigan or vestuary, but it's cooling off outside. There is hope. Dizzy blondes, no progress. I'm not spinning right now because it has been so dry here. As I told you, I was having sinus problems. So that takes us on to a strategy. And the strategy is a unique version of staying in the present. Now, you all know in mindfulness, a key factor of mindfulness is do not be in the past or the future. Now, the extremes of that, if you're always in the future, you're probably creating negative futures and you're anxious. Mostly people who live too much in the future, that's kind of what they're doing. And they also make themselves very stressed as a result. Even if they're working on goals that are productive, they kind of stay in a state of agitation, of being wound up because they've just got to keep working. That's what my life was like when I was a graduate student, when I was writing my doctoral dissertations. That you're always working on that. I don't even remember my 20s. That's what I really just said to you. That's one reason I stopped being a college professor, because you're encouraged to stay like that, to always be publishing articles. And I realized I wasn't having a life. I'm much happier as a psychologist, let me tell you. Okay, so you need to stay out of that future, because people in the future, either they're stressing themselves by setting high goals, and that keeps them from doing much in the present beyond just working slavishly, or they're being anxious. They're predicting negative futures. No matter how hard I try, this will never work, whatever. And that creates anxiety. If you're living too much in the past, you're probably depressed. There's two ways to do that game. One is, oh, I was so happy when I was a child, or when I was in my 20s, or whatever. Now all those things have gone away and I'm depressed. I've lost. Okay, so that's one way of living in the past and being depressed. The sense that you can't make it as good as this fantasy past. Politically, make America great again. For who? I mean, when you stop and think, that's one of the best examples out there. America, what are we talking about? America in the 1950s? Well, if you were a white man, if you were a white woman or any woman, you're basically enslaved in some guy's household without the ability to buy property, have a credit card, get a mortgage. So it wasn't good for women. And just that doesn't even take into account if you weren't white. I can't imagine what people of color and Native Americans were going through in the 50s. Okay, but that's the kind of big, obvious political example of how you make yourself depressed by living in the past, by creating this perfect fantasy past that you probably did not have. The other way you can make yourself depressed by living in the past is by going back to bad things and constantly reliving them. So I would be happy now, but my parents were mean to me and ... This is the definition of PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, where I was in a disastrous event in my life and I can never get away from it. That disaster has become my norm. As an example, I was in a mass shooting. No, I was not. This is an example. I was in a mass shooting, and now everywhere I go, I think I'll be in another one. Well, I have problems with our gun laws in America, I'll be honest. But the point is, your chances of being in a mass shooting are not that high. They're possible, but most of us probably, thank heavens, never will be in one. Okay, so you can't say that because something bad happened to you in the past, you're now forever doomed. But that is PTSD. It's exactly what's going on. Your brain is stuck. It's not something you're volunteering for. Your brain is physiologically stuck in an alarm state. Okay, so that's the other way living in the past leaves you depressed, is that you're trapped in those bad things. So the idea is to be right here, right now, that you can learn from the past and you can try to prepare adequately for the predictable elements of the future. But you have to live right here, right now. You have to be happy in your now, and you have to work to handle just one day at a time. All right, so that's staying present. Having said that, there's a variety of that I keep hearing, and I think this goes more with depression. It can be an anxiety. It can be a negative prediction about the future. And here's the real thing I want to get to. Do not take a good thing and make it into a bad thing. And this is about staying in the present, not in the past, not in the future. I get this very often with patients. They say, oh, I had a great visit with my nephews and nieces the other day, but they'll never come back, so now I'm really depressed. Oh no, what have you done? You've just taken this really good event and you've said it will never happen again, so it's a bad event. You're making a bad thing out of what was a good thing. When I was a little girl, we would go to the state fair every summer, and I lived for it. I just lived for it. And it's still a lot of fun as a memory. However, I haven't been to one in years. I can't even think of the last fair I went to. That does not mean I say, oh no, that was so good, and now I'll never go again. First of all, I could. There were plenty of fairs around I could be going to. I'm not that far from the location of the LA County Fair or the Antelope Valley Fair or whatever. The point is, you don't take that happy memory and distort it, idealize it, glorify it, and then use it to punish yourself. Remember what we say. The past is a tool. We learn from it. But it isn't a whip. You're not supposed to beat yourself with it. And the anxiety version of that would be to say, that was so great, but I'll never get to go to another state fair again, so the rest of my life it's going to be terrible. Okay, please. Now, I'm exaggerating a little bit, but I hope you get my point. You can't say, because you've had a good thing happen, you cannot then distort it. But this will never happen again. Or, but this person who was nice to me didn't really mean it, and they'll never be this way again. That's the most common variation you hear in therapy. That someone is trying to make peace with another person, maybe their partner, and they say, we actually got somewhere this week, but it'll probably never happen again. Or I can see that this person isn't going to stay that way. No. No, diddy, no. Okay? You have to instead say, this was a good thing, and you cherish it as a good thing, and you use the memory as a means to happiness. When we teach thought stopping, one way we teach it in cognitive behavioral therapy is we say, please keep going on with your bad thoughts. But every time you have a bad thought, you have to immediately summon a good thought, a happy memory. So every time you think a bad thought, I want you to think about your last, good birthday party. Anybody who just said, I've never had a good birthday party, okay, but you know what I mean. Okay, that's one of the ways you do thought stopping. What is that really? That is thought retraining. Your brain is a machine and it's trying to please you. So if you keep entertaining bad thoughts, you are training that machine, that brain. Your mind is training it, hey, I like bad thoughts. So your cooperative brain will go, okay, and it'll keep giving them to you. So we try to train people out of that. Every time you have a bad thought, you're going to have to stop yourself and dredge up a good memory. Even if you use the same one good memory over and over again, you have to do it. By the way, stop and think. This is Harry Potter, the Dementors. How do you fight Dementors? You eat chocolate and you think of good memories, okay? Pretty good psychological insight right there. How do you fight depression? So what you're really doing is a retraining thing. Why am I bringing that up? Because if you habitually take a good thing and you make it bad, well, this was really wonderful, but that person is going to be mean to me tomorrow, or that person let me down after they were really nice to me, whatever. If you keep taking good things and twisting them into it really wasn't good, guess what you just did? You're training your brain to give you bad thoughts. Stop it. Stop it. You have to train your brain. Now, at a moment like this, we often get accused in CBT of, you're just teaching pointless optimism. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. I am not a pointless optimist. Now, I joke. I do joke because I'm cross-eyed, as I've said before. And I always joke I'm a cockeyed optimist. I'm the one genuine cockeyed optimist that you know. I have a thing called strabismus. Made me a pretty funny-looking kid. Okay? So if you think I don't know about, having kind of hard times about the way I look, get over that fantasy. But obviously now, since I have such a happy life, I'm obviously the most beautiful person you know, because these things are only tools for our happiness. And that's what I want you to learn. I'm not a pointless optimist. There are bad things in the world. There are scary things out there, let's be honest. But you don't have a choice. You're alive and you're breathing. And that certainly beats the other option of not being alive and breathing. Okay? Life is beautiful. There is wonder in the world all around us. Go watch Joe versus the Volcano. It's a wonderful movie. Tom Hanks, Meg Ryan, go watch it. The world is full of wonder. And you have to keep trying to get yourself in touch with that. And in the meantime, you have to control your own brain machine to try to keep yourself in the best place you can be. Because there will be bad things in life. Don't add to them by taking good things and making them bad. Aw, shoot. Well, I'll tell you. It's been a good week in terms of aw, shoot. Which is good because it was a little rocky in a few other ways this week, let me tell you. But I've been afraid to jump on the scale because I'm eating huge amounts of food. I'm running about 3 miles, and I do that 2 days out of every 3, something like that. Okay, so I finally jumped on the scale. And oh God, oh no, I thought it's gone up by 6 pounds. Then I blinked and said, no, you're getting that wrong. It went down by 4 pounds. I was seeing the tens digit as one bigger than it was. I lost 4 more pounds. I am now at the weight I was at when I was 43 and running marathons. The difference, I'm keto and I am not working out that hard. Okay? And I don't know if I ever will because I don't feel like spending an entire day in a race anymore. So I am feeling really good about that. Yes, I did get into the size 10 jeans. Yes, I'm insanely happy about that. Meanwhile, a week from yesterday is the Be the Light 5K here in Santa Clarita. My son and I are going to do it. I went out this morning and I shammed the course. That is, I ran it as a test run. I got my speed down from, are you ready for this, 19-minute miles to 15-minute miles. That is the difference running on a flat, relatively flat, fast course makes. Now, will I ever get my trail running to that speed? Are you crazy? When I run my typical 3 miles on the trails, I run with a 397-foot altitude change. That is, I run uphill a lot. On this course, the altitude change, I think, is something like 110 feet. It's really not very much. It's considered a flat, fast course. Slightly uphill in that second mile is how I would say it. In the meantime, the running weather is back. Oh, thank you, heaven, thank you. The running weather is back. I couldn't help it. I put up the running weather forecast for this morning. Look, I can get up at sunrise and I can run until after 12 noon and it would still only be in the low 70s. And that's what made me say, I'm going to go down to Santa Clarita and sham this race again. Because I tried shamming it before and I nearly killed myself. What happened when I shammed it today? I ran 4.1 or something, 4.2. Yeah, I'm not used to doing that. And I'm on this flat, fast course, so I'm tearing along at 15-minute miles. Hold your breath. Every runner passed me. It was hilarious. Okay, but I'm okay with that. Remember, you can see I even put my BMI in the show notes. I'm so proud of it because I finally got under a body mass index of 26. Body mass index, if you're a woman, not too accurate. It's more about men. But roughly speaking, you're supposed to be between a 20 and a 25. 25 to 30 overweight, 30 to 35 obese, over 35 morbidly obese. That is seriously in danger of your life. So I have pushed it down to a 25.8, and I couldn't help it. I put it in the show notes because I'm just so exhilarated over that. I'm just ecstatic. So we had a good run today, and at the end of the run, I'm thinking, why do my feet hurt? I'm getting a little bit tired. What's going on? Well, yeah, I'm only used to running about 3.2, and I ran 4.1. Meanwhile, you can see my upcoming races, and if you pay attention to those show notes, you will notice a new one has sneaked in, and that is the Rock and Roll 5K in San Jose on, I believe, October 5th. More about that in the blather, but I'm pretty excited about that. In the fluffy books, I finished the last Flavia Albia Desperate Undertaking. The ending, not too good. Not too good. She sort of pulls a rabbit out of a hat and plays a little unfair about the ending, which I didn't like. I think she could have given us a hint about that and let us solve it a lot earlier than she did. Even so, there's no bad book by Lindsay Davis. So I'm starting the newest one, not the newest one, sorry, I think it's 2 back now, A Fatal Legacy, and that's another Flavia Albia book. If you like historical mysteries, I really recommend this series. The series that comes before it is Marcus Didius Falco, and they're just wonderful, and Flavia Albia is just wonderful. So I'm enjoying that. At night, when I'm trying to sleep, I am listening on my sleep headphones to India Holton's 3rd book, which is Tea and Treason. I can't remember the beginning words there. Anyway, but that's where I am. Something I really like. Okay, a lot of people have been worrying. We have the big fires out here in Southern California. You know it, I know it. Just so you know, the one that is the closest to us is called the Bridge Fire. If you want to see it, there's an app on your phone called Watch Duty. This is a pretty good app, and what I really like about it is it's crowdsourcing and AI put to good use, where they get reports from people around the fires and the fire department. So we've been following this closely on Watch Duty. Yes, around Thursday we did pack suitcases, but we never even got into the warning zone. They are very slowly getting control of it because the weather has cooled. Unfortunately, we do have rising winds, but the wind has primarily blown away from us. So right now, we are quite a distance away from the western edge of the Bridge Fire. We're not at immediate risk. We do not have evacuation orders. We do not have a warning. We do keep a packed suitcase around and the dog food in Tupperware just in case, but we are not under threat. Meanwhile, I came across this woman, and this was not me researching. It popped up in my feed. This is a San Francisco woman who is a techie. She's using AI against health insurance companies that are unreasonably denying coverage to patients. I want to find out more about her. She came across my feed twice, but I couldn't do the research. But this isn't something I really like because AI is enormously wasteful of water. It takes a huge amount of water to keep AI working. We don't need it. And we certainly don't need it the ways we've been using it. However, there are good uses. It's been shown with the support of AI, we can identify breast cancer something like 7 years in advance by using mammograms with AI. They're that able to be improved by AI. And this woman is using AI, and she's using it against companies that are basically unfair in health insurance. Now, you can guess how I feel about health insurance in America. I'm not going to beat that one with a stick. But what I want to tell you is we do have good uses of our technology, like Watch Duty, that application, and AI for medicine and for what this wonderful woman in San Francisco is doing. So I'm going to say something I really like. It's good uses of technology that support people. The bad uses, bad enough. Speaking of which, something I also really like is that image of the voter protection hotlines. It's for all the states. Please find your state's voter protection phone number. If you see anything funny going on at the polls, please defend yourself and your neighbors and call the protection hotline. So I'm going to keep carrying that through the election. Put a lid on it. Okay, some keto bread. There's a lot of variations of keto bread out there. This one looked pretty good. This is carnivore bread. Sorry, vegetarians and vegans. And this does take ground chicken, eggs, Parmesan, baking powder, and some oil, olive oil, please. Salt, pepper, garlic powder, Italian seasoning, if you want that stuff in there. And it's a pretty straightforward and simple recipe. I wanted to give that to you because when people decide to go low carb, they really, really miss bread. And that one took me a while to get used to. I don't miss it anymore, but it's been 6 years. You kind of get over it. What you find out about bread, if you're low carb, bread is really convenient. Bread is just a wonderful packaging to wrap up more interesting foods in. So yes, there's a lot to be said for just fresh bread right out of the oven. But mostly what I was using bread for was sopping up gravy and sauce and wrapping it around other food that I'd rather eat more, like a sandwich. So that is another keto bread recipe. I'm kind of dedicated to putting them out there. Do I think you should be keto? It's hard for me to say no on that, but what I would say instead was I really think you want to look more at the guidelines like those with Bright Line Eating, where you give up flour and sugar. And I know that's going to raise all kinds of stink. What I would tell you is stop unwrapping your food, stop eating processed foods. I really don't think bread is that bad for you if you're making fresh bread out of healthy ingredients and eating it in limited amounts. Now remember, I'm diabetic, I'm broken, I can't do that. But if you can, I'm not going to preach at you. But I have to say most Americans eat over 200 grams of carbohydrate a day. We don't need that. That's a big part of the problem. So I think cutting out the carbs, I would recommend. I would say paleo, to me now, sounds like the best diet out there. Mediterranean, I just think is an attempt to be paleo. So that's my 2 cents, but please do whatever you want to do. On to the blather. Well, a lot of stuff happened this week. First off, we lost our last camelid, and that really kind of got me. And that sort of set the tone for the week. This was the week I returned to work, and I have a great job, and I work for good people and with good people, so it's not about my job. But it was just a kind of rocky week. And the loss of Jubilee was a hard one. Now, we've had Juby for 15 years. Is that right? We've had her at least 13. I can remember it's 13 or 15. She was very mature. In fact, she was kind of old when we got her. So we have no idea, but my best guess is she was about 20. They lived to about 17 or 18. She may have been anywhere from 20 to 30. We're not sure. We were trying to calculate it this week. But that was kind of a tough one. On top of that, as if that's not bad enough, let me tell you, because that really ends an era on the farm. That's the end of our camelid days. We've had 20 years of llamas and alpacas, and it's been wonderful. And I'm not going to go on because I'll just get too kind of emotionally wrecked over it, and I've spent the week being that way. But then, of course, I think I kind of knew that we were going to have to let go of the idea of having the Knitmore girls at CFR 10 because it just isn't going to be possible this year, and it's not reasonable either under the current situation. And I have to tell you that we all miss Gigi. We all miss the sound of her voice, and she's just being wonderful, and she and Jasmine and their family have just been fantastic through Gigi's illness. I can't say enough good things. So to not be grateful to them and to not appreciate the hard work they're doing right now would be just churlish of me in a very 14th century way. I'm just so pleased that Gigi's improving and coming along, and she's working her buns off. Okay, so we miss you girls, and it won't be the same CFR without you, but it just is what it is, and these things have been known to happen before. Last year we lost Steffi Joe when she got COVID. You know, it's really hard when you lose the people that you count on that give so much back to Cognitive Fiber Retreat. So, you know, I have to kind of make my peace with that. However, Jasmine said the magic words, you know, you could always visit, and I could. And the funny thing about it was, I've been looking at 2 different races on October 5th, and one was the Rock and Roll 5K. The other was the Space Rock race down in Vasquez Rocks Canyon. You may remember I ran that on my own and bought myself a nice shirt to celebrate it, because I'm not running it in a crowd, because it wouldn't be safe for me to do that because of the steepness and everything else. So I kept thinking, Space Rock. And then I thought, well, Rock and Roll San Jose, it's a ways to travel. It's going to cost a bit. Well, that's the week after CFR 10. And my husband, bless him, sat me down and said, don't you really want to go? Don't you want to go see the Knitmores? Don't you want to go hang with them for a day or two? And I said, yeah, and I also want to run the Rock and Roll 5K in San Jose. I just really want to be in San Jose again. I don't know why. I've just got this craving. Yeah. So, the newest addition to my list of races, Rock and Roll San Jose. It's a 5K. It's 7:30 in the morning. I will be done by 8:30 in the morning. And I will be on my way over to haunt the Knitmore Hacienda. So girls, watch out. I am coming. But I just realized, why am I fighting this? And I thought, well, I could go any weekend. I don't have to go that weekend. And I thought, why am I fighting this? You want to run it anyway. You want to run a race every few weeks. This is an ideal one. And Rock and Rolls, I've already run 2 of them. They're a lot of fun. So yeah, Rock and Roll. And then, hooray, I am descending on the Knitmores. I don't know if I should apologize for that. But anyway, I'm pretty excited about that trip for a number of reasons. I'm also kind of giving myself a chance to get a little time away and to have a sort of mini adventure. So San Jose, here I come, and I'm pretty pleased about that. Meanwhile, I got on the scale, as I told you, and the scale was kind to me. And I said, wait a minute, if I'm at my marathon weight, then aren't my fitted clothes all too big for me? Yes, they are. I'm a size 10 again. This makes me nervous. I can never seem to stay at this weight. We'll see how that goes. But I did pull out my size 10 jeans. They're quite fitted. I put them on. There's a picture of me trying to look groovy with my semi-tucked in race shirt from Tehachapi. And there's a picture of me in the show notes wearing them and enjoying them. So there we go. Size 10 me is heading to San Jose. And the other thing I want to say, while I'm trying not to make good things look bad, I'm going to also look at a bad thing and say it might also be good. There's always a silver lining. The loss of the camelids made us realize that we are outgrowing the ranch, that we have a pony that we don't ride because we're all too big for her, although we love her and she's our pasture pal. But we're here for at least 2 more years, we think, because we want to help our son go to the local community college before he sets out on his journey towards a bachelor's degree. So this gives us 2 years. By the way, in 3 years, I will be retiring officially from my job. Yes, it's Social Security time for Gemma. How can I be this old? I don't know. But we're here 2 to 3 years is what I'm really saying. Probably 3 to be honest. Okay, so we're not leaving the ranch, but we're getting used to a different version of the ranch, and it's quieter, and we're keeping our pony pal in the pasture with us. She's 21, something like that, if she's that young, so she ain't going nowhere. We're going to take her with us no matter what we do. So we're going to have our Roxy girl, and it's just down to Roxy and our 2 dogs and our lovable Minerva cat, and that's okay. And we've realized it is really time to do what our own Steffi Jo has called, look forward to our next adventure. Because we always knew we would downsize somewhat to an easier place to maintain. And, in some ways that's going to be very nice and a lot less pricey. So those plans are happening. And at first that really, really got to me this week. But then I began to realize there's a lot to look forward to. That life could be much different and much easier. All right, so there we go. So the blather kind of strange this week, but we're doing okay, and so far no fire. So that's good. In the community resources, you can see the books I've used, the resources you can buy from, including our sponsors from previous cognitive fiber retreats. So I am going to add our Nanette Wake there, and I'm going to put Cutiful back in there, I do believe. And we have another sponsor that I have to get to. But as you can tell, it's been pretty crazy this week. Did I mention I took 4 new patients? I have to tell you, Friday night, 2 nights ago, I just landed at Friday night on my emotional knees. I was so tired. So that's okay. But let me add these people to our resources because they certainly deserve to be there. Meanwhile, on the calendar, I have the groups that are local to me here near the Santa Clarita Valley where I live. I'm near the Santa Clarita Valley is what I'm saying. And you can see them there, including the Free Craft Exchange and the Sit and Stitch at our local library. Meanwhile, the Be the Light 5K, actually by the time you hear this, will be the morning of the Be the Light. So I'm pretty excited about that. With these cooler temperatures, I can go down and sham that course all week long if I'm willing to get up early enough. So I will probably do it again on Thursday. Meanwhile, the real excitement, Cognitive Fiber Retreat 10 will be at the Courtyard by Marriott in Valencia, right off the 5 on September 28th. And there is another link to the information. I will be doing the Monster Dash here in Valencia on October 26th. The 10K associated with the Santa Clarita Marathon on November 10th. And then, I have November 28th to December 1st off for Thanksgiving. Somewhere in there, I'm going to try and do a turkey trot to celebrate eating way too much on Thanksgiving, I hope. And on Romuald, we have the week off from December 21st onward. I don't think it's going to go all the way to January 1st, but I don't really care because I think New Year's Day is on a Wednesday. So if I work Monday and Tuesday, do I sound too upset? All right. Minerva gets the last word. I wanted to show you my cat alarm clock. Now, most alarm clocks wake you up in the morning, but my cat alarm clock comes in at 7 p.m. every night. Every night, I tell you, and yells at me to go to bed. She has only started that this summer, and I've only just begun to realize in the last few days that she's even doing it. It began to hit me that she shows up every night and yells at me. Now, lest you think she's a little ahead of the game, what's going on there? Well, every night before I go to bed, I go in, I check her food and water, and she likes to get up on the counter and yell at me in the bathroom. That's where her food is. And she likes me to stand there and pet her, and I have to put my magic fingers into the cat bowl and do the magic stir to hide the bottom of the dish, so she believes she has enough food. She insists on this, and I clean out her litter box. I scoop it out, And then I do my other nightly things, brushing my teeth and my hygiene and all that. But I think that's what's going on. Why at 7 o'clock? Because I started going to bed at 8:30 or 9 o'clock in the middle of the summer when the days were the longest so that I could get up, yes, I'm saying it, at 5 a.m., so that I could run before the heat set in. Now, in the last few days, and I do mean few, I could get up at 9 a.m. if I wanted to, except for working, and I'd be fine on that run. I'd be fine. But Minerva is a creature of prompt and regular habits, and so she would like me to stay with what I've been doing. So there she is, my cat alarm clock. That is the picture of her. She is sitting next to my captain's chair in my study among my projects, and she is waiting for me disgustedly. I don't know if you can see that body language, but that's disgust. That is, I told you it's time, and you are making me wait. So Minerva's last word is please form regular habits. Your felines will appreciate it. Meanwhile, today I got my flu shot. I'm proud to say I did not get the latest COVID variant shot, unfortunately, so I may have to go back and get that. But hopefully, I've had a COVID shot. I've had a flu shot. I won't be infecting you if you're coming to Cognitive Fiber Retreat 10. Okay, so please get your shots. Please remember when you do things like this, you're taking care of the community. Yeah, you're probably fine if you get flu or COVID or RSV. You can probably handle it, but you'll be giving it to everybody else. So when you do these shots, it isn't just for you, it's for your community. When we take care of the community, we are taking care of ourselves. When we take care of ourselves, we are taking care of the community. On that happy note, please, everybody, stay safe, take care of each other, and I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye. So we have come to the end of another episode of Cognitive. Please do not use this podcast to diagnose yourself. If you think you are having a mental health problem, please contact a licensed mental health professional. Show notes for these episodes can be found at cognitivepodcast, all one word, .blogspot.com. Episodes can be found at iTunes under the name Cognitive Podcast, but also can be found posted next to the show notes on the Blogspot page. Thank you so much for listening. Everybody, stay safe, take care of each other, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.